Okay, there. The recording's now going. All right. So, welcome back, guys. This is our 11th session of Star Trek Adventures Arcadia. I only have really one announcement, and I think it's one I've touched base on before. The next couple weeks are going to be a little bit iffy schedule-wise, so we may be dealing with less of the party and/or maybe canceling the sessions right out. But we'll talk more about that later after the session. Unless any of you have any announcements, I think we're ready for the captain's log.
Anybody? Okay. Captain's log, stardate 48631.0. The Arcadia has left Zoatis Prime for Beta Romeo 9, a nearby star system with an M-class planet that should provide enough chromium to protect the Arcadia from the Shackleton Expanse's eddies, natural, Orion, and otherwise. After employing several safety precautions, the Arcadia is landing near the chromium-50 deposits while the phaser sections are protected. Then, the rest of the application will take place in orbit. Before any of that, though, I have been summoned to sickbay for Starfleet's mandated physical for all officers operating in the Shackleton Expanse.
Very good. And before we dive into the scene, I am curious, and so it's on record somewhere. These safety precautions you have in mind, can you give me a brief overview of them?
Yeah, I was talking about these with Commander Crowley between sessions. Definitely is some kind of safety net or sensor net so that we have an early warning if anyone approaches the system while we're planet side.
Okay.
And then also, we were thinking of maybe having some mines ready to slow, or at least to slow people down before they could get here.
Okay. I'm going to say the sensor net is something you would easily be able to set up with probes and possibly shuttlecraft, but the mines would take you quite a bit of time to set up.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay. In that case, we'll open up the session with the captain. You are stepping into sickbay. And when you step on inside, you find before you Andromeda is in the middle of doing something with a stack of medical tricorders. You don't see Dore, but you do hear some strange melody that comes from his office that doesn't quite conform to any type of music you've ever really heard before.
Okay. Andromeda, do you know where the doctor is?
She looks up at you and says, Captain, Dory's expecting you. And she points to the office and says, he's in his office at the moment listening to what I think is Denobulan music. I'm really not sure.
Okay, thank you. As you were. And I'll head over to the office door and press whatever button makes a beep on the inside that lets him know I'm here.
Okay, so the music stops quite suddenly, and Dory says, yes, come in, come in.
Good morning, Doctor.
Captain, good. Well, I take it you are here for your physical.
I am indeed.
Excellent. Well, if you'll come outside with me and sit on the bed, we can get this started. We'll say,
Sure
for sake
thing.
of argument, you're over here. So, you take up the bed, and Dore begins scanning you. And as he does, he says, so tell me, any issues that you'd like to report? Shortness of breath, dizziness, hot flashes, anything of that nature?
No, every once in a while I get a little stiff, but I guess that's to be expected.
Stiff, you say. Is it limited to your extremities? Is it lower part of your body? What are we talking about here?
Neck through lumbar.
Neck through lumbar. Well, given your circumstances, I suppose that's to be somewhat expected. And he kind of purses his lips and stares at his tricorder for a moment and kind of tilts his head to the side. And he goes, Well, I think I've discovered why you might be getting stiff on occasion. There's a small inconsistency between the neurotransmitters of your spine and the brainstem. I can fix it, no problem. It'll just take me about 5 minutes of your time.
Okay, Doctor, is it serious?
It's not too serious. It's just, mostly a comfort thing.
anything for comfort,
Excellent.
I guess.
And Dory looks over to Andromeda and says, Andromeda, can you bring me the... oh, God, I forget the name of the tool. Can you bring me X tool? And Andromeda says, of course. And she walks over to the little bench area, grabs a... kind of looks like a spanner or a hyper spanner, but obviously tooled for a medical application. She walks in over and hands Dory the tool. And Dory begins to run the device, the glowing end of it, over the back of your neck. And as this is going on, Andromeda asks, Captain, I'm actually quite curious. Have you ever considered genetronic replication?
No, I haven't.
Well,
I just look at the doctor to see his response to that.
the doctor seems content to continue on his work, so if he has anything to say, he'll probably say it, but for the moment, he just doesn't have anything to add. And Andromeda continues to say, well, granted, I'm unfamiliar with the full intricacies of the Trill physiology, but I believe I would be able to enhance Dr. Russell's progress in developing the technology. And I believe I could get the success rate up to about 99%.
That sounds impressive. Although, if I'm being completely honest, I've not had any issues with my prosthetic.
Well, I simply wanted to bring it up as an option. From what I remember back home, when someone like you that has a serious accident, we tend to, quote-unquote, grow the new organ or bone or etc. Organically, rather than implementing an artificial solution.
I'm sure you could ask the doctor here as well, but often we do that too, but sometimes the artificial solution is easier or safer.
Of course. Not to disparage anything that you might be doing. And, at this point, Dory finishes and says, you're all done, Captain. You're free to go.
Including the Starfleet physical?
Yeah, I didn't detect anything out of the ordinary. You seem to be in mostly tip-top shape. And the good news, no Orion pheromones to be found.
Oh. Well, that's a relief. I guess I do have to wonder, though, about Andromeda's suggestion. If I were in a first contact situation undercover, it would probably be beneficial to not have a artificial spine to be found.
Dory just thinks this over for a moment and says, yes, I suppose if they were to do a intense scan of you, they'd be able to pick up the spine and might be able to extrapolate who you are.
Well, I don't have any plans to undergo surgery in the near future, but I'm willing to read up on it if you two ever want to make a proposal for me. You are my doctor, Dory. I value your expertise.
Of course. Andromeda, if you'd be so kind to write up a report for the captain. Andromeda nods and says, of course, I'd be happy to. I just have to finish calibrating these tricorders.
No need to bump me up to the head of the line. You have your own duties, Doctor. When you have the time.
Of course. And it's at this point we're going to change scenes. So, on the surface of the planet, we have the Arcadia has come to a rest already, we'll say, for sake of argument. And Rochelle and Maddock, both of you have departed the ship and headed towards one of the deposits of chromium-50. Right now, you're still setting up the basic types of equipment and technology, both to mine the isotope and to refine it into a paint-like substance. So it's at this point that I did want to remind both of you of a few things. So the first thing is, I believe, and Captain, you can correct me on this. The captain has told you specifically that he wants the phaser arrays done on the planet and then the rest done in orbit. That being the case, you'll be on planet for about 8 hours, and then you'll probably be 2 to 3 days, if not longer, in orbit. However, if you are able to come up with a good argument, you might be able to convince the command staff to stay on the planet for 36 hours, which would get the entire ship done. But I leave that kind of thing up to you guys to decide. The other thing is you do have an option here to possibly speed up the process of applying the metallic paint to the Arcadia. This would involve a extended task, but any complications that you might roll on this task would set, like, each complication would set the process back 2 hours.
I'm gonna vote that we don't do that just because it's just time constraint.
Yeah, we're not in a rush to be anywhere, are we?
No, we're not in a rush to be anywhere, but the reason we're on the planet now is to get the phasers painted as quickly as possible, and then I want to be in space to do the rest, not because it'll be faster, but because we'll be more combat ready should the Orions come. That is my reasoning for why I've decided this. And I would have let y'all in on all of that.
All right.
We would have, before we land on the planet, we would have set up a few Class 8 probes in the system to be a sensor web.
Mm-hmm.
So they would probably want 4, just to keep a nice tight net.
Okay.
Additionally, I don't think I mentioned this earlier. We were going to try to use the magnetic pole of the planet to try to hide our position as much as possible, as well as before leaving Zoetis Prime, we wanted to alter our warp signature.
Okay. I'll say all of that can certainly happen.
Cool.
And the last thing was a mild probe that has a fake Arcadia warp signature. And that's on the other end of the solar system, just around a planet.
Okay. All excellent precautions. That being, yeah, just a little bit of paranoia. So that being the case, Matic and Rochelle, you at this point, I'd say Matic, you're probably focusing more on the mining or extracting process, and Rochelle, you're probably focusing on the refining process. And each of you is going to be approached by a few supporting characters in this process. So first we'll do Matic. So Matic, Alon comes up to you, and he has been working on extracting the isotope for probably about an hour at this point. But when he comes up to you, he is sweating profusely, almost as if he's running a very high fever. And he just, even, despite his physical condition not looking not looking great at all, he still, in his Vulcan way, says, Lieutenant, I regret to inform you that I might not be able to continue my work here.
What's wrong with you, Alon?
Honestly, sir, I don't know. I was going to head straight to sickbay.
All right. Anyone else have your symptoms?
Not that I've seen, no.
What's the weather like?
So the particular area you're in right now is pretty much what it looks like on screen. So it's a little bit arid, maybe a little bit dusty. The temperature's somewhere in the 80s. But the good news is it's a dry heat. It's not a wet heat.
Okay.
I like wet heat.
We'll I want to give him a quick scan, just to try to see like if I can pick anything up. That way, I can go ahead and let him know. Hey, tell the doctor that this is what's going on, and to
Mm-hmm.
bring me back a med kit.
Okay. I'll say this would be either control or insight plus medicine, and the difficulty here would be 2.
Um, Emergency medicine as a focus.
I'm gonna say no because it's not an emergency yet.
Yet.
All right, you got 2 successes. So, what you're detecting, based on the tricorder that you have handy, you're detecting a chemical imbalance with his system. Um, your best guess is that he might be experiencing some sort of flu or other Vulcan ailment.
Okay. Um, are there any other like no-name Vulcans around that might be looking the same, or I could compare scan results to?
I would say yeah. There's probably a Vulcan or 2 under your command or Rishot's command that you could, passively scan. And yeah, you're detecting that it's just Alon that is experiencing this phenomenon.
All right. Alon, go ahead and head back to the ship. Go see Doc. I'll give you the readings of what I just scanned off you. Um, Send Reeves my way whenever you see him.
Sure, I can certainly do that. And thank you, sir. And he begins hobbling off towards the Arcadia's landing ramp. Rochelle, while you're working on the refinement process, an ensign, more specifically Ensign Terra, which, if you don't recall, is one of the ensigns that performed during Talent Night. She was one of the piano players. And Ensign Terra just kind of sidles on up to you and says, "Sir, I was wondering if you could take a look at this for me. I was just doing a mapping of the current vein that we're mining, and I think you'll be interested with the results."
All right, I'll look at her, whatever it is she's handing me to look at.
Okay, so she hands you a pad, and on it you see that the chromium 50 vein is almost like a spider web in the way it kind of forks off and goes in different directions. As far as the interesting part is that interweaved with the chromium 50 is a strange element that, based on your days in the academy and based on your general scientific knowledge, you know that it is a rare earth element. I honestly did not write down in my notes what it was, but if you could imagine some form of rare earth element and fluff it appropriately.
Sure. Is it a useful element or just an interesting one?
I would say that this particular element would be something you could refine for extra power stores.
Good eye, Ensign. I feel weird calling somebody else Ensign, seeing as I'm also an Ensign. I'm not sure. Can you perform? What am I going to ask her? Tara, I'm assuming is a she.
Yes.
Okay. Human.
Yes. In fact, let me just put their tokens. I'll put everyone's tokens on the map where they would be. So Tara's over here with Rochelle. Reeve is coming to Matic. Alon is back at the ship, and then I'll move the rest of the player characters to the ship. All right. Anyways, you were saying.
All right. I guess this is a useful element. We should try and figure out how long it would take us to mine it as well. So that's something. Nope. Multiple shows.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
multiple shows. We've entered the mirror universe.
Transporter accident. Although, I mean, more shows, just more efficiency, really. Yeah, I guess Richaud is going to kind of passively monitor the refinement process and do some calculations to see if mining this new element is a viable option right now.
Okay. Why don't you roll me a reason? Yeah, a reason sounds good. A reason plus science, and we'll also say this is at a difficulty of 2.
Okay, I'm gonna bet I don't have anything that's going to apply. Oh, planetary sciences. How about that?
That would apply.
Hey, my new focuses.
And if you want, Ensign Terra can assist you.
Yeah, sure.
All right, I'll roll for her. And yes, there's a very good reason why Reeve and Terra's sheets are not shown, mostly because I only did half of them. So, all right, so reason plus science. Dice pool 1. She does have an applicable focus. Unfortunately, she does not help you. So,
I'm wondering if I can re-roll with one of my talents. No, technical expertise wouldn't apply. Never mind. Yeah.
I will say, if you'd like, it can succeed at cost, and I'll just do a very minor complication.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, good news, bad news. Good news, you're pretty sure that you could mine this rare earth element within the allotted time frame of you being on the planet. However, if you want anything meaningful, like if you want a full store of it in the cargo bay, you would probably have to spend an additional 6 hours at minimum to get enough. And we'll say the complication here is that in order to you can't just dig up chunks of the earth that contain both elements, both the isotope and this other element, and then split it that way. It would have to be you'd have to mine one and then mine the other, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Tap the comm badge. Richaud to the captain.
Yes.
We were doing some surveying as we're completing the mining process here, and we've detected an element that would be useful in aiding the ship's power stores. If we can spare the time, it might be valuable to continue to stay on the planet for a few more hours and mine that as well. And while we're down here, we can accelerate the painting process on the ship.
Well, I think that we can definitely stay longer in the system to get useful materials, but my plan is unchanged. I would like to go into orbit as soon as we have outfitted the area around our phasers.
Understood.
You also mentioned speeding up our process. Could you elaborate?
Sorry, speeding up the... no, I just misspoke. Not accelerated. It was just basically multitasking was what I was proposing.
Oh, I see. Since we're going to be in orbit, we'll have plenty of time for the extra mining. I'm happy to multitask on that part.
All right, Captain.
Okay. So it's probably about this time that Ensign Reeve, in that smug way, is going to sidle on up to Matic. Now, I will say, even though his token looks like he's a little shit, and he is, he actually is in proper dress uniform for once. Well, not like dress uniform, but you know what I mean. It actually looks like he's put some thought into what he's wearing, and his boots are not scuffed, kind of a thing. And he just kind of sidles on up to Matic and says, "Sir, you called for me?"
Yeah, it's nice to actually see you in a fucking decent uniform. Alon was scanning the mining equipment, making sure nothing broke. Go observe teams 2 and 3. Make sure that their shit isn't breaking.
Of course, I can do that right away. And unless you stop him, he'll just kind of mosey on over very nonchalantly, without any real haste. And yeah, we'll cut to the ship now, and we'll say, Crowley, are you doing anything in particular at the moment, or can I rope you into a scenario?
I guess I would be just checking out that Reeve came and saw me before the shift, and I'm just on the bridge.
Okay. Nalan, are you doing anything, or can I rope you into a scenario?
I could be roped in, sure.
Okay. So we'll say, for sake of argument and for ease of use, we'll say both of you are on the bridge. And at the same time, and you're each going to get different viewpoints here, because one of you is an empath and one of you is a telepath. Crowley, you're going to get a burst of curiosity. And Nalan, you're going to get a very strong thought that says, who are you? And it's a very powerful emotion and thought. And it's hard to tell where it's coming from.
I look at Delon, and without doing it on purpose, I think, did you feel that? Into his head, because, Betazoids.
Right.
Ray. And I shake my head like, sorry, did you get that?
I think so, yes. Is there any way to tell that it came from outside the ship, or not really?
I would say it was so prevalent that it could very well be inside the ship, outside the ship, or hell, it could be in space for all you know.
Okay.
What science officer is on bridge?
I believe at the moment it would be Hylong.
Hylong, can you do a scan across the planet for any life signs?
Of course, sir. And she dances her fingers over the console where the show usually sits and says, I am detecting no other life forms besides those of the away teams.
Any anomalous energy, anything that may not constitute as a typical life form?
One moment. So for this, would someone like to roll for Hylong here?
I'll do it.
Okay. Hylong will be doing a control plus science. And the difficulty here will be 3, but the good news is the ship will assist with sensors plus science.
Should I roll for the ship?
Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea.
Okay,
I didn't know how long's control was only an 8.
that makes sense.
Like I ordered her to scan, can I do my advisory assist?
I'm gonna say no, simply because it's not like Rogue Trader where you just point at someone and say, do better, and they do.
So, advisor doesn't let you do that, but if you are assisting with command, then it comes into play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spatial phenomena. Would that count as a focus?
I'll allow it, sure. Since she's scanning specifically for...
Oh,
wow. Wow. All right, 2 momentum. There you go. Or no, 1 momentum, sorry.
Jam.
What was the difficulty?
The difficulty was a 3. So
That puts us at 3?
no, that puts you at 1 momentum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the first momentum you've got this session. So yeah, Hylong just kind of runs a scan and says, well, this is interesting. I'm detecting a strange energy buildup on the ridgeline overlooking the current refinement and mining equipment.
I have a. Oh no. Are we gonna ask questions? Like, do we need to spend this momentum? Because I have a question I would like to ask.
Ooh, does Hylon have studios?
No, she only has interrogation.
Jeez. Tell me everything you know,
Networks.
computer. Yeah, as
I'm
highlighting
fine
able
with
to
that.
ask questions.
Yeah, if you want to
that's
spend
fine.
the momentum for High Long, you can certainly ask a question.
Sure.
So this is up to the group. I just want to know how large it is. Like, does it seem like it's a single entity, or does it seem like there's a cluster coming towards them? Is that y'all think that's a good question?
I think
I
that's a
want-
good question. Yeah.
I was wondering if it's sentient enough. Like, is there a way to tell, like, detect if it is sentient?
Even though sensors kind of work on space magic, I don't think they're that good at space magic.
Complex energy patterns. Yeah, no, let's go with Maddox.
All right, so Matic, to answer your question and make sure that you're back down to 0 momentum now, it is what appears to be a single entity.
All right. I guess before like we tell Matic and everyone, I have like because there's Orion's coming. I have a phase pistol. I have my knife. I have a medical kit. I have security teams with both myself and Richaud. Like I'm expecting the Orions to come pay us a visit.
Right?
So Matic may be a little jumpy.
I look to Hylong and like, can you put it on the view screen?
Certainly. And the view screen shifts to show the ridgeline, but you're not seeing anything.
I looked to Neilon and was like, what did you feel? I felt curiosity very strongly.
As in, the thought I got was, "Who are you?"
It's
Yes.
Correctly.
broadcasting. Do you think you could try and communicate with it?
Maybe.
Try and just think back to it? I don't know how telepaths work. I know empath, but
And I guess I'm just going to like think back using my telepath abilities and be like, "Who are you?"
Okay. And again, this is one of those things where I wish they would have told us what you're supposed to roll. I'm going to say it's probably a fitness plus medicine, maybe.
Phew,
And the
okay.
difficulty here would be a 3.
And you said, what was it again?
Fitness plus medicine.
Whew. My fitness and medicine is not
could
good.
insight work? Because he's trying to, insightfully telepathically talk.
What about presence? He's trying to make his presence known telepathically.
I could see presence, yeah.
Okay.
Milan, what's your best stat?
It's like presence is one of my better ones. My presence is a
Okay.
10.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's do a presence plus medicine then.
Let's see, 2d20.
Now
While this is
remember...
happening,
Oh, go ahead.
I send a message to the captain, just a text, to let him know we may have encountered a life form.
Okay.
All right, I'll start heading to the bridge, and I can arrive whenever you decide I arrive.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure. So I'm not sure if any of my focuses I have would apply. I know composure wouldn't, but I have like diplomacy and linguistics. Would either of those work?
I would say no, not as
Okay.
of yet.
Cool.
However,
Oh.
no, it's okay. I will remind you, and we can do this after the roll. It's no problem. That in order to get the third success, you could give me a point of threat, and you could roll an additional d20.
That's also true. You think it'd be fine to give him a point of threat already?
Sure,
Yeah.
why not?
It's just one.
It's just one. It's just one. Okay, so we'll roll an additional, just 1d20? Yeah,
And the planet explodes.
probably.
So, here's the question
Okay.
I've always had about telepaths in Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
What language does everyone think in?
I think technically it's your own native one, but for the shows they just do it in English.
Okay.
It's either that or they communicate in such a way that your brain interprets it as your natural language.
Yeah, it's kind of like Supernal, I think, in D&D. Anyone can understand it, but they just can't speak it.
Yeah, that's a good metaphor. Thank you.
Which language is that in D&D? I've never heard that.
Supernal, I believe it is.
It is supernal, yeah.
Huh.
It is the language of the gods, usually.
Cool.
Yeah, anytime a god speaks, they usually do it in supernal so that everyone can understand what they're saying. In any case, so with 3 successes, Nilan, you kind of concentrate a little bit and send out a thought, and just for sake of clarity, so I've got it right, you say, "Who are you back?" Or
Yeah.
Okay. So what you get in return, and Crowley, you're going to get a little bit of a bleed here, is you're going to get, Nilan, you're going to get an image of great stone pyramids and lush jungles.
Huh. Not sure what to make of that. I'm gonna think back, like, is this where you're from?
You get something along the lines of a yes.
Is it on this planet we're on right now?
Since you did get a 3 successes, I'm going to say yes. You are fairly confident it is on the planet with you.
Okay. At this point, would Captain Tahan have come on the bridge yet?
So actually, this is interesting how this has played out. So Tahan, you're in the turbolift at the moment. You're headed up to the bridge, and you get a call from Dore.
Yes.
Sir, I think you're going to want to come down to sickbay as soon as possible. Andromeda has found... Well, I'll let her explain when you get here, but it's something rather important.
Computer. Sick bay.
All right. So we'll put us on this map just so we have a change of scene.
Tahan to bridge. The doctor has summoned me to sick bay. Let me know if you need my assistance.
Will do, Captain.
All right. So when you step into sickbay, you actually see, I think for the first time for you, that Andromeda's helmet has kind of peeled back and is revealing her face. And you get the sense that this is either a result of her being excited or she's doing it to really confirm with her own eyes what she's seeing. And as you walk in, Dory kind of looks up and says, yes, Captain, come here. I think you'll be interested to see this. And
All right.
he takes you over to one of the panels on the wall where there's a display. And he says, Andromeda, if you would. And Andromeda hits a button, and on the screen appears a side-by-side comparison of blood samples. And the time begins to advance on the display. And you see that the left sample stays the same, doesn't really do anything. But the right sample is beginning to show signs of morphogenic properties. It is drifting away from whatever the base blood would be. So in this instance, it would be humanoids, or a human specifically. So instead of it being red, the blood will turn a sort of green and will take on other such properties.
What are we looking at, Doctor?
Well, I have 3 possibilities here. The first is that either something on this planet is changing the blood samples. The second, either several members of the crew aren't who they claim to be. Or the third option, or possibly all 3 at once, that we're dealing with some form of shapeshifter here.
Whose sample is this?
He looks to Andromeda, and Andromeda says, well, that is a bit of a... Well, she kind of bites her lip and tries to figure out how to say this diplomatically. And she settles on... There's 4 such samples that are performing this sort of discrepancy.
Not all samples?
Not all samples, no. In fact, the only reason I noticed it was I had forgotten to destroy the sample from the physical, and when I went to check, I'd found this phenomenon.
Is there any connection between these 4 individuals?
She looks at Dore, and Dore just kind of nods, and Andromeda says, Well, I'll let you be the judge of it. And on the same screen that you're looking at, she pops up 4 individuals. The first is Ensign Reeve. The second, Ensign Terra. The third, Chief Alon. And the fourth is Ujesa.
And Ujasa is currently hunting on the planet,
That is correct.
but Hailong hasn't left the ship since we landed.
Correct.
So Reeve, Terra, Hailong, and Ujasa.
No, Alon.
Oh, Alon
Yeah.
and Alon did leave the planet.
Well, left the ship, but he's come back at this point, but I don't think you as a character would know that yet.
Okay, but I knew that he had left to go out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it appears all of these, everyone here has left the ship since we arrived. Do we have samples from Matic and Richaud?
Certainly. And Dory changes the display, and you see that they are as normal as can be.
What about the rest? And assuming there might be some that we had not named, anyone else on the away team, I'd like to see those as well.
Sure. And Andromeda does what is stereotypical Andromeda thing, where she touches the display, and it begins rapidly showing all of the samples that have been taken. And after probably about 30 seconds, she kind of withdraws her hand from the console and says, "As far as I'm aware, no other discrepancies such as this have appeared among the remaining crew."
I see. Doctor, do we know what the effects of this morphogenic process are?
Well, and he rubs the back of his head. That's kind of dependent on what's causing it in the first place. If it's something on the planet doing it, then it could very well be... Well, I read the previous mission report. I believe you encountered a phenomenon on Xerxes 4?
Yes, we did. Myself and the much of the senior staff was present for that. We did find a cure for that specific morphogenic pattern. Would that be helpful here?
Well, no, I bring it up simply because until this morphogenic thing really starts to take hold, the effects of it are rather unknown. Now, granted, that's if it is something on this planet or something we've picked up along the way that is causing it. But if it's a natural phenomenon, as in naturally occurring without any external stimuli, then I would return to my earlier hypothesis that either someone's masquerading as a member of our crew or we're dealing with a shapeshifter. That's really the only explanation I can see for what we're seeing.
And just to clarify, everyone on the ship has been had their physical since before we landed?
Yes, sir. You were in fact the last one to undergo such a thing.
Okay. And none... Do we have readings of changeling morphology?
I would
at this point?
I would say, let me look at my notes. Yes, Dory nods and says, yes, we have compared it to changeling samples that are in our database. Now, obviously, such samples are limited, but we're fairly confident that we're not dealing with changelings here.
A different shapeshifter, if it is that.
Correct.
Well, rather than summon all 4 of these individuals back, possibly we should start with one. And I assume it would be helpful for you to run a physical in person?
Yes, sir. And though I don't say this lightly, because I don't like security personnel in my sickbay, it might be prudent to have at least one security officer present.
I will have that at your disposal. Pick anyone you like to come back to sickbay. And if you need to summon or retrieve the entire away team, you have that power.
Of course, sir. Are you going to be present during this investigation or not?
I'm going to head to the bridge right now, but I will be coming back soon.
Understood, sir. We'll keep you informed.
Andromeda, could you come with me to explain this to the rest of my bridge crew?
No, certainly, sir. And
Thank you.
she'll go with you, and we'll put you guys on the bridge. All right. So you step onto the bridge, and let me just knock out some tokens here. So Rasho isn't here. Jace's not here. Monday is there.
I know she's gonna hate this, but since Jace is the only person has the symptoms, it isn't working right now.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to call Ujesa back.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know that Alon has come back in.
Okay, I'll say that he does that before you get to the bridge.
Okay.
And the result is that either she didn't take a communicator with her hunting, she's out of range, or she's ignoring you.
Well, it better not be the last one. Or the first one. That's fine.
Okay, but just so you know. And it's probably about this point that, Captain and Andromeda both arrive on the bridge. And at this point, Nalan and Crowley, you've begun a very basic dialogue with this creature, whatever or whoever it might be.
Captain.
Yes. You mentioned you had encountered a new life form?
Yes. Energy being, possibly. Milan is, since he's telepathic, he's able to communicate better than I can. It seems curious about us.
Well, I am also curious about us. I'll show the pad that I grabbed from Medbay and show it to my bridge officers. This has been happening to some of our away team members. We do not know why.
Which one specifically?
I'll pull it up. It was Alon, Reeves, was it Tara, and Ujesa. Yeah.
Well, we have other people outside right now. Do you think we should call them back in, get them examined as well?
I've already. The doctor's already examining them, but we'll just pull back a few at a time. In case, until we know what's going on, we don't need to disrupt our work.
Of course.
Quick sidebar, do we know that there may be changeling infiltrators in the Federation at this point in time?
Not as of yet. That occurs... let me look at my timeline here. Right now, you're at 48,631, and the nearest event for you guys is the Enterprise D going down on Viridian 3, literally tomorrow.
Wow.
So
hang on, Captain. I gotta send a message to my good buddy Data.
The changeling infiltration of the Defiant doesn't happen until 962, so you've got at least 3 months before that happens.
But we did talk about this already, so I will mention that while it might be shapeshifter, it is not. We do not believe it is specifically the Dominion changeling.
All right.
Okay.
Have we tried pulling these individuals back in?
We're going to be doing that soon. You mentioned an energy transfer. What's the nature of the life form you've made contact with?
I look to Nalan and just give him a nod of my head for him to explain.
From what I've picked up, they're curious of us, and I asked who they were, and they showed me an image of this jungle-like area with stone pyramids rising up, and apparently they're somewhere on this planet.
Perhaps we should find out where that is.
Yes.
I wonder if what is happening to our away team members might be caused by this life form we've met, whether intentionally or not.
It's very possible.
We could try a more in-depth scan since we know its location.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
If you're in contact with this creature, this life form, could you ask it if it would object to us scanning it?
Sure.
Okay.
And honestly, I think out like, would you be okay with us taking basically like a scan to maybe figure out more of what this thing is?
I'm going to say as that happens, we're going to change scenes. So I'm going to put
jeez.
us on this map. As that happens, those of you that are currently dealing with the mining and refinement process, there's suddenly this great gust of wind, almost like a cyclone or a tornado, that begins whipping up dust and debris. And you kind of have to squint your eyes and, hold a hand up in front of your face to really be able to keep your eyes open. And as soon as this windstorm came, it disappears. And in the middle of everyone that is currently present, there appears a three-headed being. And
Jesus.
if I were to explain what this three-headed being looks like, it is some sort of cross between an Aldebaran serpent and a resplendent Quetzal from Earth. It has three snake-like heads with feathers instead of scales, and the three heads meet in a small oblong-shaped feathered body that possess a set of talons on the underside and a peacock-like tail towards the rear. And it floats in the air, held aloft by some unknown method. So obviously, Matic and Rochelle, this isn't an Orion, but this is something new.
Oh, that's a thing.
How close are Rochelle and Matic? Like in
I would say you're maybe about 20 feet away from this thing.
20 feet. Okay. Security. I'll just kind of yell out contact, and I'll pull out my face pistol, and I'm gonna hold it like at the ready, but I'm not gonna point it directly at it.
Okay. So the being, whatever it might be, with its shimmering feathers kind of reflecting the light this way and that, it asks very plainly and very clearly in everyone's mind in the immediate area, and I think, Nalan, you'd pick this up too. It repeats, "Who are you? Why have you come here?"
I'll step forward. I'm Lieutenant Junior Grade John Maddock of the USS Arcadia. I'm a member of Starfleet, and we came here to get the chromium in the crust because we will use it to defend our ship against spatial anomalies. Who are you?
I am Yohokotl, and I'll spell that out.
Yo, God.
I'm gonna call you Yoho, okay?
Yo.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting a very Mayan vibe, just saying.
You should be. That's all intentional.
Yes.
And after he says this, he says, I am curious, when you say Starfleet, what is Starfleet?
Starfleet is a exploration branch of the United Federation of Planets. We're a interspecies, interplanetary government that explores the galaxy.
And this includes humans, yes?
Yeah, I'm human.
I see. I haven't seen one of your kind in, well, it must be close to 2 millennia at this point.
I'm sorry, you're saying you've encountered humans before?
Well, yes. Long ago, some small sect of individuals once worshipped my people as gods.
And how is this sect aware of your people?
Well, we simply appeared before them as I am doing now.
Okay. So I guess that proves alien interference. That's fantastic. Um, at this point, Maddox just kind of gonna realize in his head, technically this is first contact, and so he might need to be a little bit nicer. So he's going to kind of put his pistol away, but he's just gonna kind of shoot a glance at a couple of security officers, like, "Don't put yours away."
Okay.
About, like, is this like about a human-sized thing, or is this like a big, massive being?
Oh, this is probably, if I had to qualify it, I'll do it in D&D terms. So in D&D terms, a normal human is medium-sized. A large creature is one size higher, and then you have humongous, gargantuan, etc. This would be a humongous creature, so it is at least 2 sizes greater than you are.
So okay, so it's about size of the size of a small house, maybe.
Yeah, that would be a good metaphor, yes.
All right. Are people that you used to, the humans you used to interact with, do you know what area of Earth they were on?
I believe it was a southern continent, and I think they either went by the name Aztec or Maya. It's honestly very confusing sometimes. Has been quite some time.
Yeah, things have definitely changed since then.
Is there a reason why you left Earth?
Oh, well, my species, the Codals, are a bit of travelers, bit of wanderers. We simply go and explore the galaxy on our own terms. It just simply came to pass that we decided we needed to find greener pastures.
Are there any other species around us that you have encountered before?
Out of character, are you asking like in the Shackleton Expanse or in relevant to humans?
I'm asking in relevant to, like, we have Bajorans, Vulcans.
Okay.
I'm sure we have some Tellarites, like other species that are around us. Have it
Okay.
look around and see,
All right, so it's one of its heads kind of swivels around and looks and says, "No, I'm not familiar with several of these species. I would be happy to learn about them, though."
In due time.
How is it that you came to this planet?
Well, and I should say at this point, if you haven't really figured out already, even though this thing is talking in quote unquote supernal, it is very clear what it says in your mind, and it's almost like it is speaking natural English. So, well, for a show, no, you're human, so you're humanish anyway. So everyone's hearing their natural language, which for you two, which would be English.
Or Francais?
Well, it could be Francais if you want it to be Francais. It could be Francais. So the Kodal Yohual says, "Well, we simply pointed our ship towards a star, and we headed in that direction."
Where's your ship now?
Oh, it's back at our encampment.
How many of y'all are there? Just out of curiosity.
Well, there's myself, my mate, and 2 of our offspring.
How many? Do you know? Is there a large consensus of you across the galaxy, or is it just the four of y'all?
Honestly, I'm not quite sure. The last time I encountered was a member of my species was when I met my mate. So it could very well be we are the last 4, or we are one of many.
Where are you from, if you don't mind my asking?
Well, if you'll believe it, here, in fact.
What do you mean here? Oh, like this planet?
Correct.
Do you know if your species has any ruins or anything that we might be able to go check out? See if we could learn some more about your people?
Can we rob your graves?
The Kodal says, of course, I would be happy to show you these ruins. However, I would ask that if I am to show you this place, you leave any scanning and any weapons behind.
Do you mind if we continue our mining operations? It's kind of important for our ship.
Oh, that was another question I was curious to ask about. What is it, this chromium you're mining? What does it do?
Well, to put it simply, we believe that by coating the ship with it, a thin layer should protect us from spatial anomalies which occur in this region of space.
I see. That is interesting. I am aware of such eddies and interference in the neighboring space, but I suppose we've never really had a problem with them before.
Well, they have been giving us a bit of difficulty, and we believe that some of them might be being caused unnaturally by enemies is too strong a word, but people who their goals don't align with ours. In fact, run a little bit contrary to ours. So they're impeding us with these eddies.
I see. Well, I believe I would be happy to discuss matters further, but I'm getting the sense, and you see one of the heads swivel very pointedly to look at very nervous security personnel. I get the sense that perhaps we had best discuss this in a better location and in a less exposed area. If you will proceed to these coordinates, he gives you the equivalent of coordinates on this planet. If you'll proceed here, again, without any scanning equipment or weapons, I would be happy to continue our conversation and show you where we are from.
That all sounds good. I'll have to talk to my superiors and see what they say, but hopefully there's a way that we could become friends over this. I just have another quick little question.
Sure.
The whole Mayan Aztec sacrificing each other for their gods, i.e. you, was that their idea or your idea?
Oh, no, it was entirely theirs. A little
Okay.
bit barbaric, I'll admit, but hey, it kept them happy. Who are we to, stop them from having fun?
Can I roll an insight and
Sure, you
see how truthful
can,
gentleman's being?
You could definitely roll an insight here. The question is, what sort of insight would this be? I'll hear arguments, but I'm thinking either con, because con seems to be the composure type thing, or maybe science.
What about security, since I'm trying to assess truthfulness?
Yeah, sure, I'll allow it.
And I don't have anything that's going to apply. What is the difficulty I'm looking at?
The difficulty here is only going to be a 2.
All right, cool. Hey, check that out.
2 successes. Yeah.
You do.
Even though you're not an empath or a telepath, and you're having to rely on alien body language and tone and inflection, you're pretty sure that Yohual is telling the truth.
All right, that puts me a little bit at ease.
The time that we've been talking, has the tone just kind of been like, oh, hey, new people to meet, like, yay, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's...
Or has it...
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Or has it just kind of been like, hey, who are these people? What the fuck's going on?
Definitely more of the former.
Okay. So I'll just kind of say my whole bit. Yeah, I got nothing.
Okay.
Well, let's radio the ship and see if anybody else wants to come see some ruins.
Yeah.
I'll ask, what is it? Yuhokodal?
Yep.
If they mind if we bring some extra people.
Oh, as long as you leave your scanning equipment and weapons behind, you may bring as many as you like.
All right, thank you.
And it's probably about this time, unless any of you like shouts to stop or starts freaking out, the wind will pick right back up, and you have to shield your eyes again. And the feathered serpent creature before you seems to vanish in the vortex of air and is gone.
I'm immediately gonna hit on my communicator. Crowley, Nalan, please tell me one of y'all just caught all that.
Did we?
You caught bits and pieces of it. Milan, you basically were hearing one side of the conversation.
Right. And then obviously, like, talk back. I picked up whatever that was saying. What did it look like?
Three-headed being, feathers. The lawn isn't human, so I can't tell him, if you go back into the historical records, and look up the Mayan and Aztec gods, you'll basically see him. Apparently, he had contact with Earth 2,000 years ago, and, well, yeah. Apparently, he was a god to us.
That's going to be a big light bulb for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to immediately say, and I think he had contact with Kirk about 80 years ago.
I'm going to have to double check that myself.
So it's not the same creature. I've posted it in Discord. This is an episode of the animated series.
That would be why I don't know about it.
Okay. So basically, and I will tell this to the bridge crew. Kirk met a creature called Kukulkan, who had appeared to the Egyptian, Mayan, and Aztec civilizations, and was instrumental in their technological and architectural advances.
Interesting.
The description you've given me is similar, although different. The record says that Kukulkan was a one-headed creature, but very similar and very Coatl-like. So, first contact is my jam. So I really want to go.
I want to go as well.
Yes, I like that. Someone should take the bridge.
I'll take the bridge, Captain.
Okay, that's perfect. Andromeda, I think the Doctor probably needs your help. And I'll work with the transporter chief and get everyone who needs. So, Nilan and Rochelle, I suppose you should come with me. Matic, would you like to come, or would you like to continue the mining operations?
I'll stay behind and finish and observe the mining.
Okay.
How far away were the coordinates?
So the coordinates are on a entirely different continent from where you guys are currently. So yeah, you're either going to have to beam there or you're going to have to take a shuttle.
The instructions were not to bring any scanning equipment or weapons. Would a transporter enhancer, one, be needed, and two, be acceptable to bring?
I would say it's not needed unless a sudden ion storm kicks up, which, is always a possibility when you're in a star system, but it's very rare. And that if you wanted to bring it, you just would have to pay the cost. I think it's one opportunity.
All right, I don't think we'll need that.
Did he say that, like, oh, we're only gonna be, would he have given mention, like, hey, we're gonna be here for the next 1,000 years, so you can just swing by whenever? Or was it kind of like a, hey, we're gonna be here for a little bit, we may move on here in a few days?
Oh, no, you get the sense that he's here for the long run, kind of a thing.
Okay. I'll just kind of mention that to the captain and be like, look, like he's maybe here for the long run. Let's try to finish this up and then finish up all this mining and then get the ship back in orbit, because last thing that I personally would want is to have half the senior staff on another continent, us not be finished with this, and the Orions show up and for whatever reason we're not able to contact each other.
Your precautions are duly noted. Clearly, you are in charge of getting the Arcadia back into orbit as quickly as possible. But I and Rochelle and Nalan will be going now. And I believe Nalan will know why, but I don't explain to Matic.
You're the boss, Captain.
So, Rochelle, Nalan, I'm just putting all your tokens on the right page. Tahan, okay. So go ahead.
I guess I should ask Rochelle if he wants to go here or stay back.
I'm interested in going. Sure.
Okay. Does anyone want to bring supporting characters along with?
Yeah, I was going to say, this would be a prime opportunity for Matic or Crowley. If you have a supporting character you want to bring, this would be a good opportunity. That way you're in the scene.
I'm fine with whoever's going, really.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not really anyone. Whatever happened to Alon?
So that actually was going to be something I was going to bring up before you guys left.
Okay.
So after, unless you guys want to go like immediately right away to these coordinates, I did want to sneak in a scene.
That's fine.
So, as you begin to, talk about your preparations, about how you'll approach this set of coordinates, who you'll bring, what you'll bring, etc. Dore will once again call the captain as well as Nalan to sickbay. So both of you will get a tap on your comm badge, and Dore will say, Captain and Lieutenant Commander Nalan, could I see you in sickbay, please?
Of course.
All right. Give me one moment to move some tokens. All right. On the token layer, and then I got to put Nalan on it. Okay, moving you guys over to sickbay. All right, so we'll say that you step into sickbay to find that Ensign Reeve is currently being scanned and examined by Andromeda and Dore. On the way in, you would have seen Ensign Rouge kind of waiting outside sickbay, as a good security officer would do. And Ensign Reeve just kind of looks very questioningly at Dore, Nalan, and Tahan. And he says, am I in any trouble here? Why are they here? The doctor just kind of looks very pointedly at Tahan, and he says, can I have a sidebar with you in my office, sir? And Nalan, you can come too.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with them.
Okay.
All right.
So the three of you step into the office. And actually, I'll put Reeve on this bed instead. So the three of you step into the office, and once the door's closed, Dore specifically turns so that he can't be lip read, and he says, I took another sample from Ensign Reeve, and sure enough, it showed the same morphogenic properties that I revealed to you earlier. However, in my examination, I found several discrepancies that I didn't initially pick up during the physical. And he shows you both a pad, again, pointed in such a way that Reeve can't really see what's going on. And on the pad, you guys see that Dore has performed a much more intense and in-depth scan. And specifically, Reeve is supposed to be Bajoran,
Mhm.
but his biochemistry does not match Bajoran's at all.
What doesn't match, if any, Federation race?
It does not match any on record.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Doctor, were any of your scans from before the most recent physical as detailed as this one?
No, there simply just wasn't a reason for it, unfortunately.
Hmm.
I'm unwilling to write Reeve off as a spy so soon, given that this is happening to multiple people. But we should be aware, we do know the Orions are hunting us. Although this seems extreme and out of the norm for them, at least possibly beyond their capability.
Yes, as far as I'm aware, Orions do not possess shape-shifting or such advanced medical technology to pass someone off as, well, a Bajoran.
Hmm.
Well, Doctor, we've recently made first contact with a psychic species that made first contact with Earth millennia ago. I'm going to meet with this life form now, and perhaps ascertain if they know anything or if they are in some way responsible for this activity.
Okay. So it's right about then that you guys would hear Andromeda say, Ensign, please, come in, come in. And looking through the glass, you'd see that Ensign Terra has arrived. And Andromeda kind of directs her to sit on the bed, and she begins scanning her as well. And after a moment, Dory's pad beeps, and you see that Andromeda has piped the scan results to the pad, and you're seeing almost the exact same thing here. Terra is showing morphogenic properties that she should not.
Doctor, I don't know if it's ethical in the medical profession or not. You can tell me, but could we perhaps confine these incidents to the recorders under the guise of the prevention of an infection, like a quarantine?
We could certainly do that, sir. I'm just curious, though. Perhaps we should ask them directly to see if they... Like, we haven't confronted them with this information yet. They just believe this is all part of a routine follow-up to their physical.
I'd like to keep it that way for the time being. Counselor,
Yes.
do you have any an opinion on who would be more receptive to questioning?
Is there any way to tell just looking at them or not really?
Based on everything you may have read, because I figure as ship's counselor, you would get some duty reports.
Right.
You would know that Ensign Reeve is the problem child of the ship, but Ensign Terra is pretty ship-shape. Nothing out of line, does her job well, that sort of thing. So if I had to say one or the other, probably Terra.
Okay. I believe that if we have to question anyone, Ensign Terra of those two would be a better person to ask about this.
Very well. This room is soundproof?
It is.
Let's call her in here.
Okay. So
I'll step out, and just because it's a little scarier to have the captain do it. Actually, no. Counselor, can you do it? Can you get her? Let's not scare her off.
Sure.
Okay. So, Milan, you poke your head out and call for the ensign to join you in the room. At this point, the room's getting a little bit cramped, but you all kind of squeeze in there. And once the door's shut, the ensign says, what's going on, sirs? I was told that this was part of a follow-up to my physical. Is there something wrong?
Well,
I'm not
excuse me.
Counselor, proceed.
I'll just have Lieutenant Dory. Could you show her scans from earlier?
Of course. And he shows her the pad. And she kind of looks it over and says, I am not that great when it comes to medical matters. What does this mean?
In earlier scans, it says that you were reported as human, but as of now, it shows that your race isn't anything in Federation records.
Okay. Nilan, I'd like you to roll me another presence or fitness plus medicine, and this is again going to be at a difficulty of 3.
Okay.
So I don't think you have any momentum at the moment, but
correct.
you do have the option, obviously, to get me threat, or you could spend determination if you really felt like it.
Right. Let's see, so presence plus medicine. I'm trying to figure out if I don't think I have any applicable focuses here. The closest I could think of is probably team dynamics, but that probably wouldn't work.
Yeah, this is more just to see the kind of thoughts you're getting from Terra.
Gotcha. I don't think any of my values would really work either, so I'm just gonna straight roll here. So presence plus medicine. 2d20. No applicable focus.
Hey, I'll give you the option to succeed at cost here.
Engineer, how does succeed at cost work again?
So succeed at cost means either you get a complication or I take 2 threat. And in this instance, I think I'd take the 2 threat.
Right. Do you think it's safe as of right now to give him 2 threat, guys?
Probably not, but I think it's risk is our business.
That's true. That's true. Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and succeed at cost.
Okay. So the thought you're going to get, Nilan, I'm actually going to whisper to you. You're Spencer in Roll20, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Let me type this out real fast. That's the thought that you get.
Oh. Okay.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. No. Is there any way to communicate to that? Oh, jeez. Be hard to communicate that thought to the captain privately.
Right.
Phew. I know they. Well, Let's see here. And we had talked earlier about possibly like quarantining them, just that like under the guise of putting them under like
Quarters arrest, yeah.
right. Okay.
Although they don't have private quarters, do they?
No. These particular ensigns have different quarters, and they do share with others.
But we do have one extra.
Let me consult the Holy app.
Or is Andromeda in that room now?
I think what I did is, yes, I kicked Ordi and Los out of their quarters, so you do have now an open quarters.
Okay. So the 4 people that we looked at that were Alon, Reeve, Terra, and Ujesa.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I know, I only know that Reeve and Terra are on the ship right now.
Correct.
Okay. Phew. Okay.
I'm assuming this isn't all happening in real time, otherwise I've been waiting in a long, awkward silence.
Yeah. I would say it's starting to get a little bit awkward, Nilan. So
yeah.
you might need to say something.
Yeah. Ensign Terra 4. Now we may have to put both you and Ensign Reeve under a quarantine because we have reason to believe that there may be some sort of infection on the ship. So for your own safety, we might have to quarantine the 2 of you.
So you get another thought, and this one is just relief. And she says, "Oh, well, of course. I will report to the quarantine right away."
Okay, thank you.
All right. And
Right.
she says, "Sirs,
Where would that be?
the medical quarantine?
Yeah.
That could either be in a spare science lab, or it could be their actual quarters. It's really up to you where you want to keep them. Or hell, it could be the brig if you really wanted to go that far."
No. I want her to think she's not in trouble yet. Because
Okay.
she's not. Dory, I'd like everyone who needs to be quarantined individually if we have the space.
I'd have to move a few crewmen and ensigns around, but, powers of being the chief medical officer, I can do that.
I've always been told that misery loves company, but from first-hand experience, I've found that not to be the case.
Very good. Ensign Terra, if you would report then to these quarters, and once you are there, the medical quarantine will take effect. And he hands her a separate pad than the one you guys have been working on, and Terra takes and says, "Of course, and thank you, sirs, for letting me know about this." And
Of course.
unless
No.
go ahead.
We'll do everything we can to get you feeling well.
Thank you, sirs. Am I dismissed?
Yes.
You are.
All right, so she leaves and heads out into her own quarantine, which
Okay.
leaves the three of you alone once again.
Yeah. Okay, so once... oh, sorry, go ahead.
When the doors close, because the office is soundproof, I'm gonna say computer, and then I'm gonna restrict her security a couple levels. I don't want her communicating with anyone else that's infected.
Okay. So the computer will happily chime and indicate that such things have taken place.
Then I'm just... once she's actually gone, I'm gonna turn, like... I picked up a thought from her that I wanted to wait until she left to tell you. The thought I received was, do they know they must know? So, Ensign Terra herself may actually... would I know that she was possibly a changeling, or this is different from the changelings?
You
we're
would
reading.
know that if she is a shapeshifter, she's not a changeling.
Okay.
Simply because the changelings that, as far as I've been able to find in canon anyway, even though that they probably could get around a blood test, they more than likely would still show obvious signs on a deep scan that Dory has done that they are a changeling.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna pull up my pad and just have it track her movement, just to watch that she is heading to the medical quarantine.
Yep, she's headed right there.
All right, and I'll just keep it open until she goes in.
Okay.
And then... All right. Doctor, I think we need to pull back everyone who has been infected, including Ujasa, who we've not been able to gain contact with. We may have to scan for her Klingon life signs and transport her back unwillingly.
From everything I heard about her, she'd be rather disappointed if you left her hunt behind.
I'll take the blame for that.
As you wish, sir. Though I will remind you that Klingon tempers can be dangerous at times.
Yep. I trust your medical expertise.
Very good. Question, what should we do with Reeves? Should I send him right away to medical quarantine or keep him here?
That's a good question. I think if Ensign Terra is like this, we have reason to believe that Ensign Reeve is the same as well.
Or we could question him as well if you'd like to call him in. I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah. I guess I'll also call Ensign Reeve and we'll essentially just go through the same process.
Okay. So you call on Ensign Reeve, and Reeve looks again disinterested and bored, and he says, "So, tell me straight. Am I dying? What's going on here?"
Well, unfortunately, we just don't know yet. The doctors found a morphogenic process in the cells of many members of our away team, yourself included, and well, I'm curious if you're feeling any symptoms. Are you feeling ill or strange?
Feel fine.
Okay. Um, well, in that case, just for safety, we will be placing everyone with these symptoms in medical quarantine. Doctor, if you have his room assignment ready.
Of course I do. And as he hands over the pad, Nalan, if you'd like to do me another presence plus medicine, still at a difficulty of 3.
All right.
I think maybe we buy a third die on this one.
Yeah, we'd have to give him a threat, correct?
Yes.
But that's better than succeeding at cost and giving him 2.
That's also true. So yeah, let's do that then. So no applicable focus.
Hey, there you go.
There we
You
go.
passed. So, Nalan, I'm going to just say this out loud because it's going to be very obvious. As Doré hands Reeve the pad, you get the sense that Reeve is about to panic and or bolt out of the sickbay. And this sort of body language would communicate somewhat to Tahan and Doré, but it only lasts for about a split second before that whole thought process and body language returns to normal.
Okay.
But it's enough that I think all of you would have picked it up. It's just Nalan gets a better insight into it.
Right. Okay. So basically he had like an oh shit moment, then just calmed down really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So basically nothing like specific, just that.
Yeah, it's like he got caught with his hand in the proverbial cookie jar, but he very quickly withdrew his hand and started playing innocent, kind of a thing.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. I guess like once he leaves or whenever that is, I'll contact Ensign Rouge and have him like follow him at a, I guess not like a close distance, but well back, just to see if he actually does try to run. Then.
I'd actually like to do that with just monitoring the computer. That way, he doesn't feel like he's being followed.
Okay, that's fair.
And then if he deviates, then we can send a security team because we'll be watching it in real time.
Okay, that's fair. We'll do that then.
Okay. So, very stark contrast to where Terra actually waited to be dismissed. Reeve just sort of walks out of the office once he's gotten his assignment. And, I mean, unless any of you stop him, he's going to go start heading his way towards his own medical quarantine.
I'm actually going to put a little fear of God into him and say, Ensign Reeve.
He turns and says, yes?
You're dismissed.
Oh, right. Of course. Thank you, sir. And then he leaves.
Get well. Get well soon.
Yeah, and then he leaves. Nalan, you get the sense that it's not so much the fear of God as there's just a twinge of annoyance.
Okay.
But yeah,
That's fine.
I'll let the captain think he did put the fear of God into him.
Yeah. Let's take our 5-minute break here. Actually, let's do a 7-minute break. So if everyone will be back at 5 p.m. EST, we'll pick it up from here. So
Alrighty.
All right, and I'm back.
Welcome back.
Guessing we're all back.
I was about to ask, who's here at this point?
I'm here.
I'm here.
Crowley's here.
Matic just spoke, so Rashow's the only one missing, I think.
All right.
But, yeah, because the next scene does involve Rashow, so whenever Rashow gets back.
Do.
Yeah, but hopefully you guys are having a good time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is actually kind of cool. I like this.
Wait, so am I the only one that watched the animated series?
I think you might be.
Yeah.
Fair.
I have
Did
it
you-
in Netflix. Like I have it on my list to watch. I just haven't watched it yet.
Well, there's very little of it, so you'll go through it quick. I will say there is a giant Spock in existence because of this show, and that is canon.
Oh dear.
What happened to Alon?
So Alon made it back to the ship and he got examined by the doctor, but presumably he got put in his own medical quarantine in advance of Reeve and Tara coming into the sick bay.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yep.
he didn't get left out if that's what you're worried about.
I just want to make sure he wasn't like Ujesa and just like up and disappeared.
No, I got you. No, he checked in. It's just that nobody's asked because nobody knew besides you that he was coming in. So, just one of those things. All right. So at this point, I did want to ask: are you guys going to go for the set of coordinates that you were given, or are you going to linger and do something else in the meantime, and wait until like the ship is in orbit before you do anything?
I suppose. How long would that be?
At this point, probably another 4 hours.
I think I want to go soon, but I do want to Commander Crowley caught up with everything Nolan and I learned in Dory's office.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, where are you going to tell him? In the bridge, in an office, in a conference room?
Conference room.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Put you on this map then. So yeah, Crowley, you're taken into one of the conference rooms by the captain and the commander, or lieutenant commander.
Captain, Lieutenant Commander.
I guess who's out of character? Who do you want to talk to him about it?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We just interviewed two Ensign Tara and Reeves, and both were displaying symptoms of the morphogenic changes. And the counselor here sensed some disturbing thoughts. If you would elaborate.
Yes, I picked up one thought from Ensign Tara that was, do they know? They must know. And for the safety of those that we believe to be infected, and I guess overall the safety of the ship, we have quarantined all of them until we figure out what's going on.
Do they know they must know?
Yep.
Interesting. And Reeve? How's his charming attitude?
He was just the usual Reeve, but right before we handed him his medical scans, he seemed to have a moment of panic, and it seemed like he would almost bolt from the med bay, but he seemed to calm down.
Alright. It's just the two of them that have been exposed so far?
We've had two other people that we know are exposed, and that's Alon and Sergeant Ujasa. And would I know at this point if Alon's on board yet or no?
I would say probably for sake of argument at this point, one or more of you would have either asked the doctor or you would have asked the computer. And yes, he is in his own medical quarantine at the moment.
Okay. And so far on the ship, we have Alon, Reeve, and Tara. We're just trying to get Sergeant Ujasa back on board.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Commander, while I have not made the determination that any of these individuals is anything but a loyal Starfleet officer, we do have to be ready for the worst. And we do have to consider Ujasa's inavailability as a security threat.
Understood. I will like to temporarily remove their command privileges and revoke any sensitive access they might have.
I've already done that for the other three, but I agree.
And I would like to station security personnel on the deck they're on, not nearby, but close enough that if they try to run, they won't get far.
Well, under medical quarantine, they should not be allowed to leave.
Yeah, the medical quarantine, as far as I understand it, is the door shuts and then a force field comes up over the door.
Well, one's an engineer. He was able to replicate himself the captain's variant coat. And he doesn't have authorization to do that. So.
Maybe he sews.
Possibly, but I don't think he puts that much effort into anything. Well,
Fair
yeah.
enough. Well, Commander, you have plenty to do here on the ship. Hopefully, the counselor and I will not take too long with this first contact mission.
Very well. I'm going to do some research into this Ensign Terra.
Okay.
Anything else, Captain?
If you do spot Ujasa's life sign, which I assume has changed drastically since she left our ship, do beam her aboard to beam her directly to medical.
Understood.
Alright.
So, out of curiosity, is it at this point that Tahan, Nalan, and Risho go on the expedition, or do you wait further?
If anyone wants to do anything before that, they can, but I'm ready to go.
Okay. So, open forum. Anybody got anything they want to do?
I want to go to my office.
Okay.
I want to pull up Reeve, Ujasa, Alon, and Terra's service records.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if there's anything redacted and any connections between the four of them.
As far as you're able to determine, and I'm double checking just to be sure, the only individual on the ship that has redacted in their service file is Hailong, and that's the nature of the disciplinary measure that was enacted before she came on ship. Everybody else's service record seems to be fine, and there doesn't really seem to be a link between any of them.
No ships, no assignments they shared, any away missions, nothing?
Nope, they're all pretty separate.
Alright. What security guys are staying on the ship? Like, I'm not too sure who's the supporting characters for the away mission. I would like to have Rouge.
So at the moment, both Rouge and Los can stick around. And then any other red shirts, if we need to give them a name, we can give them a name.
Alright. They're on deck 2.
Mm-hmm.
Deck 2 Jeffrey tubes are sealed.
Okay.
And at the turbo lift, there will be one security. He'll be inside the turbo lift, though. Unless it's, well, no, he'll stay outside, just in case.
I was about to ask, do you want him to be like a concierge that goes, "What floor, sir?"
Yeah. And I'll have Rouge keeping active scans on top of the computer to make sure that they stay inside.
Okay. That can all certainly happen. All right.
And I'll prepare a visit to one of them soon.
Okay. We'll cut back to you and Matic
Yeah.
after we get the scene started for the other guys. So for the away mission, are you guys going to take a shuttle or beam there?
I think we should just. Actually, we could take the Wave Rider only. Well, no, we can't because I don't think we can undock it while we're landed.
Yeah, it would kind of just plop onto the ground and just scrape along it as you try to take off. It wouldn't be pretty.
No, I actually like taking the shuttle here just in case we need to go meet the ship in orbit, and that way we don't have to rely on transporters.
Okay.
We're not supposed to take weapons or scanners, and the shuttle would have both.
Fair enough. What if we take... You're right. Alright, we'll just teleport them.
Okay.
Transport.
Transport, teleport, same thing. We all know what we mean. All right.
Energize.
So I'm going to put you on this map. So, what happens is as you materialize, you arrive in a clearing in the middle of a lush jungle. There waiting for you is the Kodal Yohu and the feathered serpent says, good to see you. I trust you've done as I asked, and you've left your equipment behind. I certainly don't see any on you.
We have indeed. As my officers who serve under me may have already told you, we always come in peace. Those devices are for security, but we are your guests here.
Oh, wow. That's very pleasant of you. Though I'm not familiar. You there, and it kind of points like a feathery wing at Nalan. Are you human by any chance?
No, I'm a race known as Betazoid, and if I'm correct, I believe we may have communicated with each other telepathically earlier.
Oh, so you're the one. Oh, okay. Okay. I simply thought you might have been a human with psionic abilities. Interesting. Well,
Of course.
If you gentlemen will follow me, I'd be happy to lead you onwards.
Of course. I do have one question before we continue.
Of course.
We have, since arriving on this planet, we've noticed a biological change in some of our crew. Do you know anything about this, being considering that you've been on this planet longer than we have?
Well, nothing really comes to mind. I mean, you guys aren't the only humanoids to have landed or come here before. But I don't seem to recall ever mention of this phenomenon, whatever it might be.
Fair enough. Please lead the way.
Excellent. He kind of spins around, still floating, and begins, floating along into the jungle. And you walk for about 10 minutes with Yohual floating ahead of you between the underbrush like it was nothing. However, you're not a floating feathered serpent, so you're having a little bit of trouble getting through the overgrown vegetation. And to make matters worse, it starts to rain. So I need a fitness plus con at a difficulty of 2 from the 3 of you.
Okay. Fitness plus con. It's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't think I have an applicable focus for this.
I don't think I have one either.
Nope.
So that's a negative for the captain. That's a yes for Nalan.
Yes.
And Rasho got only 1. Okay. So, Nalan, you're fine. You
Okay, cool.
You maybe have sort of like a little bit of premonition thanks to your mental connection to the Kodal. That you're able to anticipate some of the worst bits of underbrush. However, Tahan and Rasho, you begin to accumulate scratches and tears along your uniform, and What's really poignant is Tahan. You go to kind of push your way past a thorny bush, and the entire right side of your upper jacket just rips open. Oh, and Rochelle, you tear your pants. You can decide where in the pants gets teared.
Well then.
Right along the seam.
He essentially just has a butt flap in his pants now.
And now he's got jorts.
Oh no!
I love
How
it.
they became denim, we'll never know. But yeah,
It just happened.
Yeah, it just happened.
and everything's changing. It's very weird on this planet.
I'm just quietly thinking to myself, why do we get the coordinates for where we're going?
Oh, it's all about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
So the good news is, though, is that none of you suffer like a minor injury or things of that nature. It's all very cosmetic kind of a thing. But, you know, you continue to press onwards with your interesting clothing situations going on. And eventually you arrive at the edge of what would be almost humanoid ruins. And I will actually put you on this map now. So the ruins that you're seeing before you are definitely Aztec in design. And I say that because it would be fairly evident even to someone who literally just looked at Aztec architecture up in the ship before coming. There are obvious trappings, so symbology, style of columns, things of that nature. The rain kind of patters against all of the stone surfaces and trickles down into gutters that then run off into the distance to meet up with a river. And Yohual kind of just floats on into this bit of ruins as if nothing's the matter. And
What is the scale of the ruins? Like, is it scaled up for its species size, or
it is indeed.
Okay.
Not particularly represented well here by token size, but it is definitely so that it accommodates them very well.
All right?
And yeah, you know, you do have a bit of a pause here before you enter the ruins, just in case you had any last-minute things you wanted to do.
It would have been nice to bring some climbing gear for these stairs. All right.
Yeah, I want to get out of this rain. I start huffing up.
Okay. So yeah, I'm not going to have you roll for getting up the stairs, but it is a arduous bit of activity. And you get to the top of the stairs, and you find that there's actually 2 other Kodal that are quote-unquote running around. They're definitely smaller than Yohual, and just looking at them for a few moments, you would guess that they're engaged in what might be a bizarre form of tag. And, you know, as you come to the top of the stairs, Yohual kind of turns around and says, well, I believe it is time for you to meet my offspring. This is Itzakodal, and this is Pokadal. And in turn, the red-feathered one kind of dips her heads, plural, and the brown-colored one dips his head in turn.
I do the same back.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give the polite bow.
Okay.
I am Captain Athos Tahan of the Federation starship Arcadia. We've been invited here by Yohual.
Ah, so Father invited you. Very, very nice. It's been a while since we've seen any humanoids like you before.
Yes, I was curious about previous contacts between your kind and the humans. But if you don't mind, could we take our conversation inside?
Oh, right, it's raining. Sorry about that. And all of a sudden, the area around Yohual becomes void of any rain whatsoever. And it's almost like there's like a transparent dome over you. The rain just kind of patters against an unseen surface, which would best be described by some sort of channeled wind or some other kind of atmospheric disturbance.
You'll have to teach me that sometime.
I'm not so sure that humanoids would be capable of it, but I certainly wouldn't mind trying.
Well, yes. Would any of you be familiar with the name James Tiberius Kirk, or just Captain Kirk?
Yohual nods his main head anyway, and says, "Yes, I am mostly familiar with that name. Are you friends of his?"
No. He's been dead for some time, but he was a former captain, as I am now, and he once made contact with an alien species who had made contact with ancient Earth in the areas of Egypt, the Aztec, and the Maya. It was a creature with the name Kukulkan. I don't know if, from what I've read of his reports, this creature was similar to yourself, although different.
Let me think. Where do I know that name? Ah, yes, you must be referring to my second cousin.
Well, I guess it's a small galaxy after all.
Indeed it is.
Well, so you had mentioned other humanoids had come to this planet before.
Oh, yes, they didn't stay and do interesting things like you did, though. They mostly just came either because they experienced problems with their ships, or that they were stopping over for what I believe is called short leave.
What is it that we are doing you consider interesting?
Oh, the whole bit with the rocks that you're pulling out of the earth. Granted, the Aztecs did something similar, but you're doing something that makes it shiny and almost viscous.
Yes, Ensign Risha.
Did your species not pull rocks from the earth to build these structures?
Oh, we did, but we obviously did not use them as paint.
Fair enough. Is there anything in particular about the process you were curious about? I can explain it as best I'm able.
I would be happy to hear anything you would be willing to share with me. I think you might know this at this point, but the Aztecs once worshipped our species as gods of both winds and learning, and that much holds true to this very day. We're a very inquisitive species.
I think you'll find that we have that in common. We are in this area of space because we have not been before.
Well, you humanoids have, quote-unquote, grown up in the last 2 millennia.
I would accept that as true, and I hope we continue to do so.
Yes. So, Rochelle, I believe it is. Tell me about this process.
All right, and Rochelle will go into all the metallurgy and whatnot that he can explain, and explain how the process of breaking down the rock or the chromium-50 into the paint and how it's applied, and the theory behind how it's going to obstruct the eddies, and yammer on as long as nobody interrupts him.
Oh yeah, the Yohual will listen with apt attention. Obviously, the kids are probably going to just start drifting away and resuming their game of tag, but Yohual is definitely interesting with rapt attention. And when you finally wrap up what you're saying, he says, that is interesting. I believe I've said this before to Richaud here, but our ship has never really had a problem with the eddies. So it's interesting to see how different species deal with them.
I'd be curious if there's some unique property about your ship which makes it immune, or are the eddies a more recent phenomena? Like, when was the last time you took your ship out?
Well, the last time I took my ship out was about 1,000 years ago, and I believe based on what you've told me, that the reason our ship does not interact with these eddies is that we mainly travel through subspace.
That could be it, although we've definitely encountered the eddies in subspace.
Well, that must be a recent development then, because from what I remember, the eddies that I am familiar with are very much simply electromagnetic disturbances and gravimetric disturbances rather than actual subspace phenomena.
Do you have scientific records of these eddies? I'd love to compare them to the current spatial anomalies and see if they're different.
Well, since you were so gracious as to explain the process of refining this chromium-50, I would be happy to share this one bit of information with you.
Thank you. Counselor,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I've been having headaches all day.
I'm sorry.
I forgot what I was going to say.
No, don't worry about it.
It happens. So I'll say at this point, as Yohual kind of says to one of his children to go retrieve the aforementioned data, another Codal, the same size as Yohual, this one is a blue color. And this Codal comes rushing out of the underbrush and comes right up to Yohual and says, "My mate, I have captured a humanoid that was attempting to hunt me as prey. What should we do with her?"
No.
Oh, Jasa. I believe there has been a misunderstanding. May I talk to her?
Well, of course, but she might find that a little bit difficult right now. And almost as if led by an invisible tether, from out of the jungle steps a bound and gagged humanoid approximately 6'2" in height. She has wild white hair and wears a strange-looking eye patch over her left eye, and is built somewhat like a warrior or an Amazon to kind of set the scene here. You realize that as you look at that one uncovered eye, it's very familiar, but you can't really put your finger on why. And her token should be on the map for you guys to see now.
That is not who I was expecting to see. I don't believe this is a member of our crew. Although I was not expecting to find any other humanoids here. Have you had issues with this individual before?
The blue Codal turns to you and says, "No, this is the first time I've been hunted in, centuries."
I'm sure that's not very pleasant.
No, not at all. But, as you know, this woman here has shown, sometimes the prey turns the tables on the hunter. And it's at this point, to kind of throw you guys a bone. I'd like each of you to roll me a insight plus con, and this is going to be at a difficulty of 3.
Okay.
There's no way to aid somebody, or
I'm going to say because it is your own individual perceptions that unfortunately you're not able to assist one another. Like if you had scanning equipment, I'd allow the assist, but unless you snuck some in, you don't have that available.
Could I get a hint on what the nature of this insight con check is?
Basically it's trying to narrow down why the eye seems familiar to you.
Okay.
Alright, so Rochelle, unfortunately not. Ooh, Nalan with the straight-up success. Nice.
Hey.
So yeah, Captain, it's up to you if you want to roll or not, but Nalan will
I'll
definitely
try.
get it. All right. So Rasho and Tahan, you're scratching your chin and you're thinking real hard. Where have you seen this eye before? Nalan, you know exactly where that eye belongs. That's Ujasa's eye.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Captain, that's Ujasa's eye.
How can that be Ujasa? That's obviously not.
I know it seems that way, but the eye that's not covered, it seems to be Sergeant Ujasa's. I'm not sure how else to explain it, but
How tall was Ojasa?
6'2".
oh,
Um,
What are-
I'm going to turn to the to Yoko Quaddle and his mate. I mentioned to you earlier the a morphogenic effect that had been afflicting several members of my crew. Would you permit us to send a scanning device to this location to see if this is in fact one of my crew members?
It's hard to say what a smile looks like on such a being. But Nalan, you'd at least get the sense that the showing of teeth is not threatening.
Okay.
And Yohual says, perhaps that is not needed. Maybe you may be able to discern this information with words, yes? And he doesn't so much like snap his fingers or do something like Q would, but inexplicably the gag that is holding this woman's mouth shut kind of drops off and frees her mouth. And she kind of just, spits and kind of waggles her tongue to try to get rid of the taste and goes, ugh, a horrible taste.
Do we recognize this voice?
This voice you do recognize as Ujasa's.
this is odd.
Ujasa, is that you? This is Captain Tahan.
She kind of looks over all of you and kind of sighs and says, yes, it is me, though I think you are more familiar with this form. And before your very eyes, she begins to change into the Ujasa you know. Obviously, not with the Klingon armor present, but does indeed change forms to represent the Klingon you know and love. Or maybe not love, but you know what I mean.
Care to
I
explain,
didn't know you
Sergeant?
could do that.
Well, and as she says this, she actually turns back into her other form, almost like it's more comfortable for her. And she says, well, I don't believe there's any reason for me to keep up pretenses. I am what is known as a cameloid.
I don't believe I'm familiar with that term. Would you be native to the Shackleton Expanse?
No, we are native to the planet Ark, which is in Klingon territory. I believe it is your Captain Kirk that first encountered one of our species.
Oh,
Man,
yes.
that guy gets around.
This is interesting.
What is the status of cameloids within the Klingon Empire?
Well, we keep to ourselves mostly, and we are rather adept at smuggling and courier services.
But not in an official capacity?
Correct.
I see. Why choose to serve aboard a Federation ship?
Well, to put it plainly, myself and two of my pupils thought that we could use some experience, both in long-term shape-shifting control and in matters of the galaxy outside of Ark.
Reeve and Terra?
I do not know if those two are my pupils. Well, she bites her lip and says, well, again, there's no sense in maintaining pretenses. Yes, Reeve and Terra are like me.
What about Alon?
I do not know of this Alon, other than, obviously, what I've experienced of him on the ship. So at this point, Yohual kind of butts in and says, well, it seems like you know her, and honestly, it doesn't seem like any harm's been done. I'm inclined to let her go in your custody, if that's acceptable.
Yes, thank you. I believe we have some talking to do between my staff. Thank you very much. I would like to maintain a communication with you. Do you plan to stay on this planet for the time being?
Oh, yes. We will not be leaving until the young ones have reached maturity. And that's not for another 300 years, at minimum.
No, they grow up so fast.
Indeed.
Well, I do want to tell you that I will gesture toward Ujesa. As you were being hunted earlier, my crew and I are under a similar circumstance, and should that violence find us here, I do apologize for leading it your direction. We have done everything we can to prevent that from happening, but I want you to know this because of any risk that we may have put you in.
That is very forthright and honest of you. I appreciate the gesture.
Well, if you'll excuse us, I'll tap my comm badge. Captain to Arcadia.
So Crowley, you would get this.
Crowley here, Captain.
4 to beam to the brig.
To the brig? Okay. I actually don't have a map for the brig, but okay.
Aye, sir. And, yeah, I guess I'm beaming all 4 individuals into the brig.
I will clarify. Rochelle, Neelan, and myself could be on the outside of the brig.
Alright, understood.
Alright, hold on as I move some tokens.
I look at the life forms, and who am I seeing? So I need to identify who's who.
So you obviously see Rochelle, Nalan, and Tahan, but you are picking up a strange humanoid reading next to them.
Alright. I will tell the chief transporter officer to put the unknown life form into the brig.
Okay. And I think we're good. Alright.
I will also advise 2 red shirts to go down.
Okay. Come on. Alright, I'm going to have to put you on that map temporarily so I can get to the next map. Alright.
That's fine.
So, you guys are here. And zoom in so people can see. Yeah, of all the deck plans that that I've been able to find, there hasn't been a good brig, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to stick with the map for the time being. Any event, the 3 of you arrive outside of the brig, and the individual you know as Ujesa is beamed into the brig. And I'm just curious, do you immediately activate the force field, or is this just more of a gesture kind of a thing?
I'm going to immediately activate it.
Okay.
Where is the brig?
It's right here. I'll shift ping.
Looks like deck 3.
Yep, deck 3.
Thank you.
I hope you appreciate the fact that this is just a precaution. What should I call you?
Well, to answer your first statement, I would do the same and if it were me and the situations were reversed. But as to what you should call me, my true name is Syn, S-Y-N.
I'm curious, why... You said you were practicing long-term form holding.
Correct.
Is that why we were able to discover that you had the changes in your blood? Or is it growing too tiresome to hold the form of Ujesa?
In a sense, even though we Cameloids are not adhered to such... Sorry, let me rephrase that. even though we are shapeshifters, much like the changelings, we do not have to revert to our own natural forms on occasion. It's simply that the longer that we remain in one form, the more easy it is to discern a fake, if that makes any sense.
I see. Dr. Dory, I've tapped my communicator.
Yes, this is Dory. Go ahead.
We found Ujesa, although she's using the name Sin. Are you familiar with cameloid physiology?
Give me a moment, sir. Yes, we do have one report from Captain James Kirk about cameloids being a thing. Is there anything in particular you're interested to know?
We have 4 aboard our ship, or at least 3.
And who do you believe that might be?
I think your guess is as good as mine, Doctor. Tara, Reeve, and possibly Alon.
Oh, well, Alon, Andromeda and I discovered is actually just going through a rather rare case of a flu.
Oh. Well, that is good news. Keep me informed.
Of course.
So what are we supposed to do with you now, Sin? Send you back to Klingon space?
Oh, no. Well, you don't need to go that far. I think you'll find that myself and my pupils were truthful in that we went through the required training programs to be stationed aboard the Arcadia. And frankly, if it were me, I'd simply take this as a boon. However, I can understand your trepidation of what must seem someone wearing a mask this entire time. But I assure you, I am still the good security and comm officer that you know and possibly appreciate.
Not every officer is from a Federation planet, myself included. But we have more difficult processes for these people to become officers in Starfleet. And we have those processes for a reason.
Well, I think you'll find that Reeve and Tara completed their stays at the Academy. As for myself, admittedly, yes, I went through Klingon channels, but I think you'll find that I still adhere to the letter of the officer exchange program.
I'm going to look into that. For the time being, I hope you enjoy your new quarters.
Of course.
I'm going to, Counselor Rusho, would you come with me, please?
Of course.
And I'm going to call a senior staff meeting.
Senior staff meeting, ahoy! All right, let me get everybody's token on here. All right.
Okay, I'm going to be honest real quick. One of my values is everyone deserves a second chance, and that might be coming into conflict right now.
Well, you do
Because
have the option. Oh, go ahead.
I don't particularly feel like giving her a second chance at the moment, but I might just need to cool down. So I've called you here because 3 of our officers are imposters. In a sense, they are cameloid, which is no crime, but they have lied about their identity their entire life, or at least for their entire Starfleet career, which is naturally a huge security risk. I'm aware that some have done this before because they fear that they would have been persecuted. But I do not believe this would have been the case for these 3 officers. I've yet to contact the Admiral, but I wanted to know what my senior staff had to think of Ujesa, Terra, and Reeve being found out as for shape-shifting chemeloids.
Well, they lied to us, sir. And Karen Reed lied on their applications to the Academy. It seems pretty clear-cut to me.
Yes, and Ujesa did not lie to... She went through the Klingon channels as a exchange officer, of course, but I believe it. She may have forged her way there as well.
Well, we can ask the Klingons if they know, although we might not get an honest answer.
It is possible, but the Klingons are our allies. I'm upset to lose these fine officers aboard our ship. I really wish we weren't. I know Reeve wasn't the model officer, but he was competent, and Terra's was exemplary in her performance.
I would.
Please finish your thought.
Oh, I've come to know Ujesa quite well over the weeks and since coming aboard the ship, and I mean, I like her as a person. I think she's a competent and capable officer, but it doesn't change the fact that she's willing to deceive us. And
I agree.
Well, how do we know that the people we've gotten to know, how do we know that they're not acting? How do we know that this isn't some long con that they're running? How do you know that everything Ojis has told you is true?
So I'm going to give Nalan a bit of information here. You did not pick up any dishonesty when Sin, as she's now known, was telling you everything.
As
I was...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was talking as in, like, oh, we've, like, Ujesa's...
Like, the entire time she's been on the ship.
The entire time. You know, she may have been honest for the past 2 hours, but what about the years, the months before that, you know?
I don't know. That'd have to be something you'd have to straightforward ask them with a Betazoid present.
Or 2.
I think that's something we do have to consider. We know that the Orions have had rather elaborate plans against us, and that there are reports of, as of yet, not uncredited, but inconclusive reports that there is still an Orion presence aboard Narendra Station, which is very near Klingon space. It is possible that these 3 have their presence aboard our ship has something to do with the Orion activity as of late. I can't rule that out. I will be contacting Admiral Haru soon. But is there anyone here who would champion for any of these officers to remain on board? In the short term, I can't condone it, but maybe in the long term, they can redeem themselves.
Maybe if we had them sent back through the proper channels as cameloids rather than what they disguised themselves as, we could probably maybe let them on board, but I myself am a little bit apprehensive to that.
Well, they would need a letter of recommendation from a command level officer, and I can't in good conscience give that recommendation. It would have to be someone else, and if they knew their story, I don't know what officer would do that. I think if they go home, they're going to live a civilian life.
I'd like to talk to them.
Well, The only thing I would see an issue is Starfleet, we may be a little bit more accepting. Let's go tell the Klingon Empire that an officer they gave us is a cameloid. They're not gonna live for very long if they do at all if they return.
Well, if Sin requests asylum within the Federation, I'm sure we would have to consider that. But all three are from from Klingon space. Oh, but only Ujasa came through the Klingon Empire channels. I don't know, however, if the Klingons would be insulted at this accusation.
Out of character, I think either Crowley or Nalad would know. Yeah, it would be a really big... Maddox probably on the right line of thinking.
Right. I believe that Maddox would be correct, sir. If we did do that, the Klingons themselves may be insulted.
Well, we can handle that after we speak with the Admiralty. For the time being, I would like to question these individuals, see if they have anything to do with Orion activity. In the meantime, we need to finish outfitting the Arcadia. Matic, that's your responsibility. Crowley, I don't remember off the top of my head. Do you have any experience in interrogation?
No, but my Betazoid instincts has always been good enough to read people.
And then, Counselor, I believe you would be insightful there as well.
Of course.
Okay. I think everyone knows their job. Matic and Rochelle, I need you to keep up the good work. If you need any additional staff, you should have it within reason.
Alright. So it sounds like the staff meeting's wrapping up then. My main question to you all as you begin to filter off and do these separate things. Are you going to keep Sin in the brig while you talk to her? Or it's one of those things where I'm just wondering if I should change maps again or not.
Yeah, I think for now keeping her there is fine.
Okay. Means I gotta find Crowley's token wherever he is. There he is. Alright. So Rochelle's on the bridge, Captain's on the bridge, Crowley's with Milan.
Should we get Hylong in there since she does have a focus in interrogation as we learned today?
Yeah.
She has the interrogation talent.
Yep.
Oh! I don't know what that does. Let's find out.
It gives you an extra d20, I think.
I think I wrote it down on the sheet. Let's look.
It's on the sheet, I know. I just don't remember.
I got it here.
Yep. When you succeed at a task to coerce someone to reveal information in a social conflict, you'll gain 1 bonus momentum, which may only be spent on the obtain information momentum spend.
Interesting.
So we'll change scenes here to the three of you, Nalan, Crowley, and Hylong, with Sin in the brig. And as the three of you come on in, Sin just kind of looks up from her seated position and says, "Ah, hello. I don't think I need to be a mind reader to tell you're here to ask me some difficult questions."
Well, first of all, how long have you kept this ruse? Like, why? What was your hope to do with this? Like, you could have joined Starfleet as a cameloid and not have to put us all through in a tough position right now. We're all in a very tough spot.
Well, I believe I can answer that rather simply. Cameloids are not that well known outside of Federation or outside of Klingon space. Really, the only way we get to see the stars, as it were, is either masquerading as Klingons or by smuggling ourselves into other societies. Now, granted, I think I can sense a bit of anger from you, and it might be justified, but honestly, I am confident in saying that the person that you know is still me.
It's not anger. It's disappointment.
Space Stamp.
I don't have any reason to keep you aboard the vessel that'll keep you safe. Protocol says that we're to turn you over, along with the two others. They lied about what they were. They'll be discharged from Starfleet. They can live out their lives as a civilian, but they won't be allowed to serve on a vessel again.
And of course,
I
that is
think-
your... Yeah, go ahead.
I think Reeve would like that, considering that he's bored just doing what he's doing.
Well, Reeves always been a little bit of a dick, if I have to be honest with you. That never changed. But, I mean, that is your prerogative. You can certainly do that. However, I would like to present an alternative if you are willing to hear it.
Is
I
it
cer-
falsifying information?
Nolan, you were saying something.
I was just saying that I'm willing to hear it.
Okay. She says, indulge me on a hypothetical here. Suppose a changeling from the Gamma Quadrant came to Starfleet and requested the ability to go through the Academy. Would you let them?
I don't see why not.
I agree with the commander. I want to see why we couldn't.
So you would be, without any reservation, willing to allow a shapeshifter who could be anyone or anything working for a gray entity that you don't know a whole lot about. You'd be willing just to let them do as they wished in the Academy.
If they joined the Academy to be an engineer, and they went and passed their test as an engineer, then they're an engineer. Same for security, same for science, same for medical. If they want to do more, then that's their prerogative. We're giving them the choice to do more.
So Hylong's gonna kind of turn and say, I mean, I'm not arguing in her case here, sir, but that might be the case for enlisted personnel, but as far as officers are concerned, what I know, you do need a command level recommendation to get in if you're not a member species, and I'm pretty sure she's not a member species.
There's been a few exceptions over the years. But again, it could be for talent that you made an exception. It could be for the skill. It could be for a diplomatic reason. There's a number of things that go into it there, but if you show that you're able to go through it and able to pass the challenges that Starfleet tosses at you, then you're worth something. But that shows that you're able to be upfront and you're able to be honest with how you're joining and why you're joining.
So Sin just kind of shrugs and says, I mean, I haven't lied to you at any point of this. I fully admit that, again, it is your prerogative of what to do at this point, but I again reiterate the fact that we were simply out here as explorers ourselves. Sure, we didn't get here perhaps by what you might consider the strictest sense of truth, but, well, except for Reeve, the dick, I think our service record speaks for itself.
But that becomes a liability when you have lied. When they have lied to us for however long they've served aboard the vessel, even with the previous captain. What else have you lied about? You've planted that doubt.
She doesn't really say anything. She just kind of sits there and stares at you all, curiously.
Am I picking up anything from her? Any specific thoughts or just kind of general stuff?
I'm going to give this to you for free, rather than having
Okay.
to roll for it. You get the sense that she kind of wants to indulge in, like, another hypothetical if it were someone like Hylong or Andromeda or Dore, you know, another NPC that, or supporting character you've been close to. If they had revealed something of a secret, you know, you feel that betrayed as well, kind of a thing.
Right.
But again, she's keeping her tongue for the moment. She doesn't really see a good reason to bring this up, but you would detect it nonetheless.
Hmm. If you're wanting to indulge us in another hypothetical sin, then by all means.
I mean, I simply wish to observe the fact that we have allowed Andromeda, the alien from another galaxy, almost free run of the ship, and we are taking her at her word. As I said in the briefing a couple weeks ago, I believe that there's something more at play here than a simple farmhand. But, again, it's your prerogative. I'm not the commanding officer here. If you want to ship us off back home to Ark, you can certainly do that. However, I think you'd be missing out on a fine tactical officer and a fine planetary science ensign.
Commander, she does have somewhat of a point, even if she has lied to us.
The point is that they lied when they went through Starfleet.
Well,
They have had multiple years to falsify reports. We don't know what they could have done.
well, we could obviously look into that if we wanted to, correct?
We can and we will.
By any means, I think we should maybe keep them in the brig until we can figure it out. I'm not. Well, how long would that take, if we know?
I would say if you legitimately want to go through every single report they ever filed, that's going to be at least a week's worth of work.
Right. Well, we may actually want to, and just in case, but that might be something I'd want to take up with the captain later.
The other possibility is too that Ujesa, Reeve, and Terra all were real people. They attended the academy, they went through, did everything, and then they were replaced.
Oh, no, I can assure you. We did it on our own merits. We did not replace anyone.
How can I believe you?
You're a Betazoid, yes?
What am I picking up?
You're picking up she's telling the truth. I mean, she's a little bit indignant at this point that she's had to reiterate this fact like 3 times. But yeah, she's telling the truth.
Neelan, have you encountered species that can mask their thoughts? Think them that they're true? Think this is a case like this?
I'm not quite sure that I have, actually. If I have, they did a damn good job of it.
Per protocol, we are supposed to take them back to Starfleet. We're supposed to turn around. I'll talk with the captain, see if there's anything we can do to work around this. But in the meantime, and I look to Sin, your command codes will be rescinded. You're confined to quarters. Once I get permission from the captain.
If it were
You
me,
won't be in
I'd
the
keep me
brig.
in the brig, but as you wish.
I'm trying to give you an olive branch, but if you want to turn it down, very
Oh,
well.
no, not at all. I'm just, again, trying to provide insight as a good security officer would.
Neelan, how long? If you have anything other to say to her? I got nothing.
Wait, I'm sorry, come again. You kind of sound a little garbled to me.
If you have anything else to say to her, you feel free to continue. I have nothing else to say.
I have nothing else as well.
How long?
I do have one question for her. So Hylon gets down on the same level as Sin and kind of narrows her eyes, and Hylon asks, "Did you let me win that fight?" Sin laughs and says, "Oh no, Lizard, you won that on your own." Hylon's smile, stands up and says, "Nope, I'm good."
Yeah, I'm going to head out. I'm going to head right to Reeve.
Okay. So I don't have
I
a
know
map for
he-
that, but we'll just pretend.
I know he doesn't like talking to me.
Yeah, we'll just pretend. So yeah, no, go ahead.
Oh, which one of us?
I mean,
'Cause
you
I know we
both
both-
can go if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm extending the invitation to Neelan.
right.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I guess eventually, once Crowley's done talking to Reeve, I may want to gather both him and the captain, maybe in the conference room, to talk about our interrogation. That's possible.
Okay. So here's the situation. We got about 10 minutes before the captain has to leave. So we can do this one of two ways. We can either quickly go through Reeve and then do the quick meeting afterwards, or what we can do is we can say that the next session will start with you all having another senior staff meeting. And we can compare notes then, kind of a thing. I'll leave it up to you guys which we do, though.
I'm not sure how long that meeting will take, so it might be safer to hold that off to next week, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, that would be good. And if we want to do any like one-on-one with the GM, we can recap all that during a. I don't know how busy you are, but
I'm actually free this week as long as it's not Mondays and Wednesdays.
and so we could recap those conversations at that senior staff meeting next week.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's do that then. So let me kill the stream and kill the recording, but stick around for after session talk. So stream, if you're watching, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.